Hello, this week I will be talking about how to configure an EQ plugin in Magix Music Maker. For this, I will be referring to the lecture on mixing EQ from an analog mixing console. This is for week 5 of Introduction to Music Production, taught on Coursera. Let's look at a typical analog EQ section. In this video, we have the controls for a high-pass filter, a low-shelf filter, 2 bell filters, and a high shelf filter. I'll be breaking the configuration down into these basic sections. Here we have our 4-band parametric equalizer in Magix's mastering suite. This is what it looks like before any configuration. Now let's configure. The first filter is our high pass filter, which allows higher frequencies to pass through. This is set at the lower or base end of the spectrum at 75 Hz. Below this frequency, cutting occurs. The slope of the downward curve is measured in decibels per octave, or the Q value, which is set at 18. This means that for every octave below 75 Hz, the gain decreases by 18 decibels. So for our high pass filter, there is a sharp downward curve. In our configured EQ, you can see this graph at 75 Hz. I have set the Q value at 10 instead of 18 because this is the maximum value for my plugin. I have left the filter at 0 decibels, the line level. The result is cutting off of the very low frequencies which are not desirable in the mix. Next up on our console, we have the low shelf filter, or our low control knob. This is set at 80 Hz. I won't be including this in my EQ configuration because it is only a 4-band equalizer. The effect is minimal because this filter is really just a fine control to boost bass levels. Now we get to the bell filters. The first one is controlled by the low to mid knob. Its frequency ranges from 100 to 2000 Hz. For the sake of this demonstration, we will put the bell filter around 300 Hz and negative 4.5 decibels. This will reduce the amplitude of frequencies around this range slightly, but not drastically. For a bell filter, the notch is controlled by Q. The higher the Q, the narrower the notch. We'll set it to 1, giving us a wide notch. The second bell filter is under the direction of the high to mid knob. You can see the frequency range to be from 400 to 8000 Hz. Again, the amplitude range is from negative 15 to plus 15 decibels. We'll set it arbitrarily at 2000 Hz and positive 3 decibels. Again, the Q value is related to width, and we'll set it at a wide notch with Q being 1. This gives us some increase in gain over the mid to high range of this. Finally, there is the high shelf filter. This is configured at 12 kHz with a variable amplitude. We'll set the gain at negative 5 decibels and the Q at 1. Here we get a decreased gain, then a leveling of the gain, like a shelf. This is useful for cutting down on some of the higher frequency noise. The only thing left is for us to save the project. I'll save it to my audio effects folder as EQ mix. So the next time I want to use this particular audio mix, I can easily pull it up. Thanks for watching my presentation on how to configure an EQ. I hope it was useful and helpful for all those audio engineers out there. I know I learned a lot, and I hope you did too. Goodbye.